Hi, welcome to your 30-minute beginner yin practice. For this practice, it would be helpful if you had a blanket, a thin blanket, not like a big thick comforter from your bed, but maybe like a throw, or if you have a yoga blanket or a Mexican blanket, that is optimal. And if you have them, 2 blocks. Mine are cork. They can be any blocks though. They could be foam or whatever material that you use, or you could even possibly use 2 heavy books if you don't have blocks. However, you can buy blocks at Five Below for pretty cheap, as well as like Marshalls or Home Goods. They often have inexpensive blocks if you would like to use the real kind. And I got these off Amazon. But we're gonna go ahead and get started on our backs in pentacle pose. So just move any props out of the way, off of your mat. And then go ahead and make your way to your back. And once you get there, take the feet wide to the edges of the mat. Let the toes fall out. Take the arms wide. Pick up the head, lengthen through the neck, maybe tuck the chin a little and then set it back down. And then close your eyes. Or if it feels better, you can always take a soft gaze towards the tip of your nose. And just take a moment here to settle in. And bring your attention to your breath. And there's nothing to change or fix. Just noticing the breath as it is. Taking this moment to check in with yourself. Yin allows us to soothe the nervous system, to let go of always being busy, and just be. The power of yin is time, not effort. Bring your awareness to your toes, your ankles, knees, hips, lower abdomen, center, and up to the heart. The throat, the space between the eyebrows, and the crown of the head. Connect with the breath. Inhale through the nose. Soft exhale through the mouth. Continuing that breath. You can inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose or the mouth, whatever you prefer. But just finding a nice even breath pattern, matching the length of your inhales and exhales. So if you inhale for a count of 4, you'll also exhale for a count of 4. And during this time, we have the opportunity to look inside, observe how we feel in our bodies, our minds, and our hearts. Inhale, draw the knees into the chest. You can grab the backs of the thighs with the hands. Find a gentle rock side to side. And then bring the knees through center. Keep them drawn and release the arms to a T. Actually, go ahead and bring the arms to your side and the feet to the mat. And then pick up the hips and come onto that left hip, and then drop the knees to the left for a twist. Then take the arms out wide to a T. Shoulders are squared down here. You can gaze straight up at the ceiling, or you can gaze at the right hand if that feels okay in the neck. The whole body is soft. The whole body surrenders here. One more minute here. As you inhale, bring the knees through center. Pick up the hips by pressing into the feet. Roll onto the right hip and then drop the knees to the left, stacking the left knee on top of the right. And then maybe you gaze straight up at the ceiling, or you can take the gaze to the left hand. Let yourself sink in. I'm a silent observer. Noticing how the pose feels in the body. Noticing any areas of tension. See if you can let those go with the exhale. Four more breaths here. As you inhale, bring the knees back through center. Press the feet down, pick up the hips and come onto your back. Take a moment here. And then we'll make our way to a seat. You could drop the knees to one side and press into the forearm to push yourself up. And we'll move to a straddle. So taking the legs wide, maybe turning long ways on your mat so that you can really get that cushion under you as much as possible. Feet are relaxed. In vinyasa, oftentimes we would flex the feet to engage the muscles. But in yin, we're targeting the fascia, the tendons, the ligaments. So we want to let the muscles relax and the feet relax. And then if you do have blocks, go ahead and grab them. bring them in front of us. We'll also grab our blanket. So if we had a bolster, then we could place that on top of the blocks to bring it closer. However, we're trying to do a minimal prop practice here. So let's say you don't have blocks. If you don't have blocks and you're hyper flexible, you could always come all the way down to the ground. Or if you're not hyper flexible, maybe you just bring the hands to the ground and try not to let the head hang down too heavily. Keep the crown of the head towards the ceiling so that the neck is in line with the spine. So we don't want to put all that weight on the spine. So if you don't have blocks, this could be your straddle today. But if you do, go ahead and bring those blocks in front of you, and you have a few options with them. They could be on the low height to bring the ground closer, the medium, or even the high height. And you could even use that blanket to drape it across the top of the blocks on whatever height you're using, folding it up to not only give the blocks a little bit more height, but to give yourself some cushion, right? So maybe the arms are like this, maybe they're crossed, maybe you rest the forehead down. It's okay if we're bending the neck, if we're supporting the head. So let yourself sink in, everything relaxes here. Notice where you might still be holding on a little bit. And maybe you're not exhaling fully, or maybe you're just holding tension somewhere in the body. See if you can let that go and soften just a little bit more. About 5 more deep breaths. As you inhale, slowly press yourself upright. If you use props, just go ahead and remove them, set them off to one side. Then bring the hands behind you with the fingers pointing in. Bring the soles of the feet to the ground, and then wiper the knees side to side and let that go. Go ahead and press yourself up. We're going to make our way to Sphinx pose, but before we do, if you happen to have a blanket, we're going to make a roll with our blanket to use in our Sphinx. So having the blanket in like an 8-way fold, I'm going to roll it from the long edge, nice and tightly, so that you get like a little cannoli roll with your blanket. And we'll place that about a quarter of the way down or a third of the way down at the top of our mat. And then with the blanket in place, swing the legs around. Maybe you come to the knees first. And then we'll lower onto the blanket so that the ribs come over the blanket, just hang off that edge. And bring the forearms to the ground with the elbows under the shoulders and just gaze towards the top of the mat. Legs are long with the tops of the feet flat here. And if you don't have a blanket, so it would look very similar. Elbows are still under shoulders, forearms are long, fingertips towards the top of the mat and the gaze there. That blanket just offers a little extra support. Now if you start to notice that you're really feeling this a lot in your low back, a lot of discomfort, there's some adjustments that you can make. You can start by taking the legs wide to the edges of the mat, and then engaging the glutes and pressing the pelvis down into the earth. And if there's any tension in the low back, that really should relieve it for you. And let yourself breathe into the shape. Noticing the sensations. Check in with your form. If you're letting the front of the body collapse, rise up, press into the forearms, reach the crown of the head towards the ceiling. About 3 more breaths. Take one more inhale. And exhale, let it go. Slowly start to make our way out of the pose, lifting up, removing that blanket if you're using it, and then lowering all the way down, stacking one palm on top of the other, and then resting the head on the backs of the hands, Allow the big toes to touch and the heels to fall out. And take a few deep breaths here. And letting that low back reset. Pausing to notice. Pausing to receive. On an inhale, bring the hands under the shoulders, curl the toes under, and press yourself up through tabletop, coming to all fours. Now, when you're on all fours and table, there's always the option to add a blanket under the knees, but we won't be here super long. Just time for a few cow-cats. So on the inhale, we'll drop the belly down, lift the head and the heart towards the sky. And as we exhale, round, tuck the tailbone and gaze at the belly button. Inhale, cow, belly drops, head and heart lift. Tailbone lifts. Exhale, cat, rounding the spine, tailbone and head drop down, pressing through the hands. 2 more. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Last one. Big breath in. Full breath out. On your inhale, neutral spine. Then we'll make our way to our Shavasana, coming to our backs. Getting there in whatever way feels best to you today. Traditionally, Shavasana or corpse pose would have the legs long, a little bit wide, not quite as wide as the corners of the mat, but also not right together, with the arms at our sides. Palms can be up or down. If this does not feel good in your body, you could make some adjustments. Perhaps you bend the legs at the knees and then take the feet to the edges of the mat. Maybe you pick up the bum, tuck the tailbone and lower it down. And then let the knees fall in towards the center. Pick up your head, find length, tuck the chin, and then slowly set it back down. Close your eyes or take that soft gaze towards the tip of your nose. And enjoy your rest. Slowly begin to bring yourself back to your physical body. Wiggling fingers and toes. Circling out the wrists and the ankles in one direction. And then the other. And finding some bigger movements, maybe bringing the feet to the mat. And then wipering the knees side to side a few times. And then drop the knees to one side. Roll onto that hip. And find the fetal position. Drawing the knees in, maybe the arm becomes a pillow. And take a few breaths here. On an inhale, gently press yourself up to a comfortable seat. If it feels okay, maybe the eyes stay closed. Bring the hands to heart center and Anjali Mudra. Take a deep breath in through the nose, fill the lungs, and then open the mouth and sigh it out. Take a moment to thank yourself for showing up. Thank your body for everything it did for you during practice and does for you every day. And thank you for allowing me to share this practice with you. The light and dark in me sees and honors the light and dark in you. Namaste. Thank you, friends. See you soon.